We have 1 Corinthians chapter 6, and we are going to start in verse 12 today. And if you did not hear for the multiple warnings that you were getting, this is going to be extremely inappropriate for small children. And if you feel uncomfortable about this particular subject, but the Bible's super clear. The modern church actually the church for the last couple hundred years in America has done a really poor job in helping people understand God's view of sexuality and your sexual desires. So we're just going to walk through God's word today. But if that's not something you want to hear, I'm giving you a last chance to bail, okay? If you're online with us, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So if you're sitting there with your kids or you're soccer momming it today, we're running with your kids around a soccer practice, discern whether this is appropriate for them. We are in 1 Corinthians 6. We're going to start in verse 12. 1 Corinthians 6:12, Paul the Apostle speaking to the church at Corinth 2,000 years ago. All things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. Circle helpful. All things are lawful for me, underline the rest of the sentence, but I will not be dominated, circle dominated, by anything. Food is meant for the stomach, and the stomach for food, and God will destroy both one and the other. Underline this whole sentence. The body is not meant for sexual immorality, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. And God raised up the Lord, speaking of Jesus, and will also raise us up by his power. Do you not know that your bodies are members of Christ? Circle members. Shall I then take the members of Christ, my body, and unite them with a prostitute? Never. Underline all of verse 16. Or do you not know that he who is joined, circle joined, to a prostitute becomes one body with her? For as it is written, the two, speaking of a male and a female, will become one flesh through sexual intercourse. But he who is joined to the Lord becomes one in spirit with him. In other words, his body is aligned with the desires of God for his body. Underline all of verse 18. Flee, circle flee. Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside his body. But the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. Or do you not know that your body, circle body, is a temple, circle temple, of the Holy Spirit that's within you, within that body, whom you have from God? Underline the next two sentences. You are not your own, for you are bought with a price by Jesus on the cross. So, because of that, glorify God in your body. Woo! Everybody ready? Here we go. If you got your notes, buckle up, people. The ride's going to be bumpy all the way out till we land this plane. If you got your notes, pull them out. They should be inside your bulletin if you came on campus. If you're online with us, at the top of the comment section on Facebook and on YouTube is a link. Click on that link and my notes will come up. Number one is this. Here's God's design for sex. We're in a series called The Fam. Obviously, you're here because somebody had sex in the past. And so this, in case you didn't know, okay? So literally this applies to not only how we get here, this is how God created us to procreate, but it goes even beyond procreation. It goes to how does God want us to live in oneness with another person sexually? And what should my version of pleasure be in my life sexually? How do I navigate that through different ideas of sexuality? So what I just read to you out of 1 Corinthians, understand the context. Ready? That was 2,000 years ago. Paul the Apostle wrote it to a church at Corinth. You're like, I have no idea what a church at Corinth is. Let me help you. Church at Corinth was a church, it was a port city in the Greco-Roman world. It was literally the Las Vegas of their day. When you went to Corinth, there was prostitutes everywhere. Male prostitutes, female prostitutes. It was the open sexuality like we have in our culture right now. We have just chaos and a sewer for understanding how I should view my sexuality in our culture right now. We are kind of neo-Corinth in American culture. I can literally do whatever I want with my body, and my culture goes, good job. Hey, is it true for you? Yeah, it's true for me. Oh, then you're good. You go do you, and everything's fine. That's exactly the way it was in Corinth when Paul wrote this letter. Everybody were just kind of going, I have these desires. That's why he writes in the letter, he goes, because there was a phrase 2,000 years ago, it was like, my stomach is built for food, so food should go in my stomach. So I have hunger desires, and if my stomach's made for food and I have sexual desires, then I should just be able to go do whatever I want sexually and fulfill that sexual desire. So the idea was, if I'm a sexual being, which I am, then whatever sexual feelings I have, whether it's for another guy or for another woman or multiple women or whatever, then I should just be able to go fill that desire. So what was true 2,000 years ago is actually true in our culture. We have the same view in our culture as they did 2,000 years ago. I'm built a sexual creature. I should just be able to do whatever I want. Here we go. Here's God's view of how you should be controlling your sexual desire and how you should be expressing it. Number one, sex is godly. Let's go. Sex is godly. I'm going to change your whole view of sexuality. So some of us have been abused sexually. Some of us, when we think about sex, it's like it's dirty or gross, or we have really bad, our background of sexual understanding is a place of just regret and darkness and grossness kind of in the back of our minds. So I want you to take all of those feelings, okay, in your past, and I just want you to set them over here. Okay, your emotional view of sexuality and what's happened to you or what you've done, I just want you to put it all here, and I just want you to set it over here. We are just going to talk what God's design is for it. And then we're going to work our way through some of these things, but we're going to start here. Sex is godly. What does that mean? God created sex and made men and women to be connected to one another in the most intense union possible. So God made sex. We didn't design sex. We didn't come up with it. The union of God, the union that God made between a husband and a wife, a male and a female, is God's design, the way he built it at the beginning. What am I talking about? Genesis chapter 2. The very first book of your Bible talks about the beginning of all things. Genesis 2:23 through 25 says this. Then the man said, this is Adam, the very first man, he is seeing his wife for the first time. And God has built a woman out of the man. He built the man out of the dust, and he builds the woman out of the man. So they're connected literally by DNA. You can't get closer to somebody than if they're built out of your own DNA, which is how he builds Eve, how God builds Eve. And this is what Adam says when he sees his wife for the first time. This is at last bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was literally taken out of man. Therefore, because of that, because men and women are built to be together, literally genetically and genitalia-wise, they're built to connect together by God. Therefore, because of that, a man shall leave his father and mother. So the two that made him, he'll leave them and hold fast to his wife. The wife leaves the home that she's a part of. The man leaves the home that he's a part of, and they start a home together. And one of the immediate results of that is sexual intercourse, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. So this is pre-sin. The reason you and I have to wear clothes today is because of this moment right here. If there wasn't sin, we'd all be like this, running around naked. And it wouldn't be weird, and you wouldn't get arrested. But the reason we have sin in the world, so our view of sexuality is marred, and it's perverted, and it's off from God's original design. But here's what I want to say. The original design is beautiful and awesome, and it's godly. It's built by God. So husbands and wives are built to enjoy the sexual connection that they have because it's made by God to be explored in that way. Look at Song of Solomon. So the most erotic book in the whole Bible, which you probably have never read and you probably have never heard it preached on. I can almost guarantee you that. But I will teach through this book someday. But this is a play. This is an ancient play. It's 3,000 years old. So this is even 1,000 years before Jesus when Song of Solomon was written. And talks about the desire. This is the very beginning of the book, and it talks about a woman's desire for the man she wants to marry. So this is feminine sexuality coming out at the very beginning of the book of Song of Solomon. And these are Jews. She's poorer, and she has to work out in a vineyard, so she's in the sun a lot, and it's kind of darkened her skin, and so she's not of the caliber of the king, who's King Solomon. And so there's this poem, this love story between the two of them, and she is talking about her desire to want to marry Solomon. In verse 1:1, the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. So if you've ever heard that phrase, that actually comes from this book. Your anointing oils are fragrant and your name is poured out, therefore the virgins love you. So she's just saying, man, you're a dude that other chicks want. Verse 4, draw me after you. Let us run. In other words, pursue me, which is exactly the way the connection is usually between men and women today. Women want to feel pursued and valued by men. And the king has brought me into his chamber, so now she's viewing the future together. And this is a chorus of people that are saying this. We will exalt and rejoice in you, and we will extol your love more than wine. Rightly do they love you. I am very dark, but lovely, O daughters of Jerusalem. Like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon. Do not gaze at me because I am dark, because the sun has looked upon me. My mother's sons were very angry with me, and they kept me the keeper of the vineyards, so they forced her to be out in the vineyards all the time. That's what the lower class would do. So they're setting this whole poem up about her being lower class and Solomon obviously being one of the greatest kings who ever lived. But my own vineyard I have not kept, so she hasn't kept up her own looks. Tell me whom my soul loves. Where do you pasture your flock? Where do you make it lie down at noon? For why should I be like the one who veils herself beside the flocks of your companions? So she doesn't want to be like any of the other women that Solomon knows. She wants to be his one and only wife. If you do not know, O most beautiful of women, follow the tracks of the flock and pasture your young goats beside the shepherd's tents. This is all pictures of an agricultural love of 3,000 years ago. I compare you, my love, so this is him speaking, to a mare among Pharaoh's chariots. How you like being compared to a horse, ladies? Awesome. Yeah. 3,000 years ago, maybe that was really sexy. I don't know. Your cheeks are lovely with ornaments, your neck with strings of jewels. We will make for you ornaments of gold studded with silver. So now this is Solomon speaking to her, trying to encourage her. While the king was on his couch, my nard, so that's like a fragrance, like a perfume, gave forth its fragrance. My beloved is to me a sachet of myrrh that lies between my breasts. My beloved is to me a cluster of henna blossoms in the vineyards of En-Gedi. Behold, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful. This is him speaking. Your eyes are like doves. Behold, you are beautiful, my beloved, truly delightful. Our couch is green. So this is his bed. They're looking forward to a lively sex life. That's what the Hebrew word is verdant. It means like a bed that's alive. The beams of our house are cedar and the rafters are pine, speaking of a very solid relationship. I am the rose of Sharon, a lily of the valley. So if you've ever heard that phrase, that comes from this book too. As a lily among brambles. So this is like a beautiful woman among just dying trees. So is my love among the young women. As an apple tree among the apples of the forest, among the trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the young men. So this is her speaking. With great delight I sat in his shadow, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. He brought to me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. If you've ever heard that phrase, it comes from here too. Sustain me with raisins, refresh me with apples, for I'm sick with love. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. So they're actually laying down at this point. So his right hand, it's not a hug. I'll just leave it at that. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or does of the field, that you do not stir up love or awaken love until it pleases. So this is her view of just like their future together. This is the godly version of your fantasy life with the person that you are going to be with. It's like what you have in the future between a husband and wife is good and godly. In contrast to animal sexuality, human sexuality is physical and spiritual. Here we go. If you've ever sat through a human sexuality class in UCLA or Harvard or whatever, basically it comes down to this. We evolved from, lower organisms and somehow we came up with morality and like rules of a society or something when nobody knows how, like where that would have come from because it doesn't exist. The reality is this, you're made a moral creature. And the reason you have guilt when you have sex and do things that are inappropriate, the reason you go, I shouldn't have done that, is because your sexuality is not like a dog or a rodent or a roach or a dolphin or whatever. Like they mate based on hormones and they procreate. But there isn't a guilt factor for anything else except humans. And so humans have this not only physical desire, we're hormonal, we want to sleep with the opposite sex, but it's also the fact that when you do that, there's a value system connected to what you do. So we are not just highly evolved animals mating. We are special creations of God, given a beautiful thing from God called our sexual drives that we can either use for the godly or we can use against God. We have a choice there. It's called a moral choice. You're a moral creature, which is why your conscience will tell you, oh, that was great, or man, don't ever do that again. So you're not a highly evolved ape. You're a special creation of God with a special thing from God called your sexual drives. Human sexuality is connected to morality and is designed to be enjoyed within the borders of marriage between a man and a woman. Any other action, here we go. Any other action on your attraction is prohibited by God. I'm going to talk about your sexual identity next week. So, was I born gay? Was I born in the wrong body? Do I need to transition to the next sex or whatever? I'm going to talk about that actually next week. To be clear about how you function sexually today. And the Bible's super clear. Like in the Greek, I put, there's 4 Greek words here for how you function sexually. One is translated fornication, and it's the Greek word porneia, which we get the word porn from. And it basically means this: any illicit sexual thing you do, whether it's oral, whether it's intercourse, whether it's whatever with another person before you're married. That's this whole thing over here. So it's sex with an opposite sex person before you're married. So dating, engaged, that's not marriage. Living together is not marriage. That's just immoral roommates. I don't care if you've been married for 7 years and the state of California says you're married. That's not a marriage, okay? California doesn't care about your marriage, but Jesus does. So here's the thing. Anything sexually you do with the opposite sex pre-marriage is called fornication. It's the Greek word porneia. It means stop. It's the things that you're doing there, you need to stop. The next word is the word for adultery, which is moikos, which is when you're married, sleeping with somebody not your spouse. So porneia, sex before I'm married with anybody else of the opposite sex. While I'm married with someone else that's not my spouse, adultery. And the other one is same-sex sex. So in the Greek, it's very specific. The first word is malakos, which means to be soft. It's the male partner that's taking on the woman's role in a same-sex relationship. So the one that's the effeminate one, actually the receiving of the sexual act. And then there's the doer of the sexual act, which is arsenokoites. We get the word coitus, which means intercourse, which is the word for bed. What it means, arsenokoites literally means a man who takes a man to bed. So 2,000 years ago, in the Greco-Roman culture, same-sex sex wasn't odd, it wasn't weird, it wasn't like, oh, we don't talk about stuff. Paul's very clear. He goes, any use of your sexuality, same-sex sex, opposite sex before you're married, while you're married with the other people's sex is absolutely prohibited by God. You might have those attractions, same-sex attraction, opposite sex attraction, all sex attraction. Hey, I'm pansexual. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're attracted to. It matters how you act. And God expects you to control your attractions to honor God with your sexuality. Just because you're attracted doesn't mean you have to act. Here we go. Here's our principle. Sex is like nuclear power. Under control, it blesses people. It keeps the lights on. But out of control, it destroys lives. You know, that intense drive you have for sexual contact, it's given by God. It's godly. But the drives you have that are outside of God's design will destroy your life. We literally have pharmaceuticals in I'm just watching TV the other day, and there's pharmaceuticals. So if you have HIV because you contracted it through same-sex sex or whatever, they have drugs you can take to try to drop your HIV levels to almost, unseeable, undetectable. And what they do to drop your HIV levels to undetectable is so that you can start having sex again without passing it on. So even in our culture, we've developed pharmaceuticals to help you continue in a sexual reality that is not godly. So understand, we're even further down the rabbit hole than even Corinth was. We facilitate immorality in our culture. And we call it doing you. It's freedom. No, you're actually blowing your life apart. You're literally contracting diseases that are destroying your life. It's literally pulling your body apart. but we call it freedom in our culture because we don't want anybody to feel bad. But they're literally dying in front of us because we won't say something about it. Here it is. Anybody remember Chernobyl? This is like 6 old people in this service. They're like, I remember that back in the day. If you're like under 30 or whatever, like, what's a Chernobyl? I'll show you what it is. 1986, Chernobyl blew up. It's a nuclear reactor in Ukraine, so where they're fighting today, it's right in that area. The nuclear reactor, they were going to do some testing on it, and the guy that was running the nuclear testing at that time, you have to keep the nuclear reactor from overheating. And he didn't do what the system was designed to do. He made some errors. And some of them he chose on purpose, thinking it wasn't going to be too bad. And he literally blew the building apart. It's one of the worst nuclear disasters in history. So much nuclear waste went into the air. It killed everything around it. It killed most of the people in the building. To this day, there's so much nuclear radiation around that area that stuff's having a hard time growing back. Animals died, plants died, people died. This is your sexuality. Under control, it blesses people. Out of control, when you just go, I'm going to do whatever I want, you literally might destroy yourself and other people's lives. It's that intense. Leads us to number 2. Number 1, sex is godly. Number 2, hey, sex is good. Anybody still awake? 3 people are still awake. Hey, sex is good. 5 people are still, okay, here we go. Some of you guys got a really bad sex life. That's why I'm here to help you. Your pastor loves you. Here we go. What do I mean by sex is good? Here's what I mean. At the first marriage in Eden, God's first command to Adam and Eve was have a lot of sex. So in Genesis 1:27 and 28, God says this. He just created Adam and Eve. They're naked. There's no sin. There's no regret. There's no perversion. There's no problems. It's beautiful. It's literally Eden. He says this. So God created man in his own image, in the image of God. He created him, male and female. He created them, and God blessed them. What's the first blessing? And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply. And or at least keep practicing. Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion over the fish of the sea and the birds of the heavens and over every living thing that moves on the earth. Here's the point. Sex isn't gross. It's not something God says, oh, don't do that thing. It's like in God's design, when the nuclear power is harnessed, man, it's a thing of beauty. It's a good thing that God has created. And God says to his first creation, hey, have a lot of sex. When babies come out of your sexual union, it's all good. Because I want the whole earth to be filled with the people that have my image. And the way people get my image is you guys having intercourse. So go for it. Imagine God going, let's go. The marriage bed is to be like pre-sin Eden. So now this is how it relates to you. The marriage bed, your marriage bed, is to be like the pre-sin Eden, a man and a woman, naked, not ashamed, engaging in God's good gift. Here we go. We're going to go into the deep waters here for a second of your views of sexuality. Sex doesn't make a relationship better. It makes it bonder. What do I mean by that? Here's something you may be surprised by. We've tried to say, we've at least had 2 generations of trying to fool women into thinking, your sexual response is just like men. Just sleep around and everything will be great. That's who you are, girl. Go get the bag. And you know what happens? Women feel empty. They feel used. If children come out of that, now they're stuck with a child that daddy bailed. Men and women's sexuality are not the same at all, even physiologically. And I put it in your notes. You want to know one of the biggest differences? And we just kind of found it out about 15 years ago. It's called the oxytocin response, which is that like ecstasy response you have when you're having intercourse. Women feel it when they are nursing and during certain parts of labor, which men obviously don't do either one of those 2 things. And so women have a huge rush of oxytocin during intercourse that men don't have. And what oxytocin does is it's that deep level of like, I bonded with you. Which is the reason why when men are done with sex, they'll just go like, it's time to go back to video games. And women are like, did I just get used? Like, I want to snuggle or like at least say, let's get breakfast or something. Like, you want to know why that is? And women can't figure out, like, I don't know why he's not like me, because God made men and women totally differently in their sexual response. And when women have sex, it's like you're bonded to that man in a way that the man doesn't feel towards women, which is why men lie to women and tell them things they want to hear and say, I'm going to commit to you. Man, I love you. Man, I'll be here forever. Man, if we have a baby, man, I'm your baby daddy. I'm here forevermore. And she just goes, oh my gosh, I love this place. And then he has sex with her and he goes, howdy. And the woman feels like, what just happened? Ready? Women feel a bonding in sexual intercourse that men just don't feel. And it's designed literally by God that way. Because women are connected to family. They want to be connected to one guy, ideally, the rest of their lives, the dude is faithful, he's loving, he's caring. When babies come out, he's going to take care of those babies. Like, that's what she wants in her heart. That's what she wants in her soul. It goes beyond just hormones of I wanted to sleep with somebody. Men don't have that same kind of thing. They have more of a drive for occupation. Women have more of a drive for relation. So you're literally physically different than men and women are biologically and physiologically different even during intercourse. Which is why if you got a daughter and you're a dad, you keep the idiots away from your daughter. If you have a son, you're like, dude, he'll take care of himself, whatever. But if you have a daughter, you know she's going to get suckered into some dude that's an idiot. That's why a lot of guys get punched out when you're messing with somebody's daughter. Because here's the thing that dads know. They know what's in that dude's head. Because he was 18 once. He was 23 once. He was 28 once. And that's when guys go, man, dude, I know hey. Careful with my daughter. Because whatever you do to her, I'm doing to you, bro. So let's just be straight. You want to know why dads feel like that? Because they know if their daughter sleeps with that dude, she's going to have this total bond to him. And she's going to feel wrecked when he leaves her. But you don't worry about that in marriage because you're together for the rest of your life. You have babies, cool. But dads know, and you didn't even know why that was, but oxytocin is one of the deep reasons physiologically why women bond with men. And it's just different. And here's our principle. Sex will either ruin a good relationship or extend a bad one. Woo-hoo! Look at that. Sex does not make your life better. It just makes it more complicated. Sex outside of marriage will either ruin a good relationship. So you're a Christian couple. You're like, man, dude, I just really want to sleep with you bad. And we got to wait till we're married, though. But then after a while, you're like, my defenses are broken down. We mess up or whatever, and then we start sleeping together or whatever. And it's like the relationship that could have been awesome, that could have been amazing, now we've just muddied the water with a bunch of immorality in our lives. And so it can often ruin a good relationship. Or you're in a really bad relationship and you're just getting used, and all you do when you get together is Netflix and chill, and just the whole point of your relationship when you get together is just have sex all the time. And it's like this really dysfunctional, toxic relationship. And it's like your sexual connection just keeps the relationship going and going and going until finally somebody just says, I'm just not going to do this anymore. So sex does not make anything better. It just makes it bonder. And oftentimes that bonding can either be healthy inside a marriage or it can be dysfunctional outside of marriage. It can literally extend a relationship you need to get out of. Sex in marriage isn't dirty or gross, but it's holy, good, and blessed by God. Spouses within biblical boundaries and each other's conscience can enjoy each other's bodies purely with no regret. Wow. Look at Hebrews 13:4. Hebrews 13:4 talks about this. I think. There it is. Let marriage be held in honor among all, and let the marriage bed be what? What is it? Undefiled. It means unstained, for God will judge the sexually immoral and the adulterous. Here we go. I'm going to walk right into your bedroom in not a weird way, just in a pastoral way, okay? I was going to show you some videos like I usually do, but we're not going to have any videos for this particular sermon, okay? No examples. But I will say this. Ready? Scripture's very clear. The marriage bed, the nuclear bed that where all of your sexual desires can take place in there, understand that it's undefiled when you do it God's way. You can enjoy each other's bodies. There's no weirdness. There's no grossness. as long as you're doing it biblically and within each other's conscience. So if you have a conscience issue about a certain particular sex act or something, sexually that you're doing, then that's no. Nope, not going to violate anybody's conscience. Nobody needs to feel used after you've had sex in your bed, okay? So if it doesn't bother you, but it bothers your spouse, then you don't do it because you respect each other's bodies because those are ultimately our individual bodies given by God. When you're together sharing bodies, you make sure that sharing of bodies doesn't violate each other's ideas of what's appropriate. Also, ready? I can't believe I got to say this stuff, but don't invite anybody into your bed that's not your spouse. Swinging and all this other garbage, man, it's immoral, it's trash. If you are thinking about hooking up with other couples or inviting other people in, let's spice up things. Let's just invite trash into our lives. Absolutely stop that. This is the day you put to death all of the perversions that our culture has baited you into saying, this will be great. But you're literally just going to nuke the good parts of your life sexually. Don't let anybody else into your bed. Keep it undefiled. Everything you do between you and your spouse, as long as it's biblical and within your consciences, is good by God. If you're starting to fish around for people or whatever, Netflix and chill with someone else, nope. You absolutely put all of those attractions and maybe this will work out to death. And honor God with your marriage. Here it is. Here's our principle. It's people that make sex dirty or gross, not God. Hey, sex is good. Made by God. Do it God's way. It'll be amazing. Don't do it God's way. You're going to have a boatload of regret and you might hate life. It's people that make sex dirty or gross, not God. God's gift is good. Which leads us to number 3. Number 1, sex is godly. When you do it God's way, it's awesome. Number 2, sex is good. When you do it God's way, it's always good. Even when it's not good, it's good. Some of you get it. Okay, number 3. Hey, sex is a gift. Sex is a gift. Men and women have different drives, desires, and sex goals. Listen to me. Most of your sex drive is hormonal. Men have testosterone in their body, and women will never understand. You cannot transition to be a man and understand what men go through. Hormonally, it's like they're always on. Testosterone burns in men's veins like fire. Men will literally, women, I want you to think about this. Think about the time in your life where you just want to have sex like the most ever. Imagine like that all the time. That's men, okay? Which is why men just commit disasters. They leave their homes. They'll leave their jobs. They'll be pastors and forfeit their abilities to even pastor people because they're sleeping with somebody else. Like that's the drive that's inside of men when it's not under control. That's the nuclear things that happen in men's lives. Let me show you the difference. So one of the things that people misunderstand about sexuality is that God designed men on purpose with a purpose and women on purpose with a purpose. So what you may not realize when you're a woman in your home is why your husband's always like pawing at you while you're making spaghetti. He's like you're in a shakedown with a cop, right? You're under arrest, babe, right? And you're like, gosh, what do you want? He's like, you girl. You know that thing? So some of that's inappropriate, especially if the kids are around. And some of it is just how guys are made. So women's sexuality tends to be a lot slower, like a slow cooker. Here's the thing. Takes a little while to warm up, but once we're going, hard to stop. It's like rolling the train down the tracks, which is God's design. God has designed women to not be like men. So it's a beauty of God's design. And men need to respect that about women. Women are not like you. You need to respect a woman's body, her drives and desires. She doesn't have the same hormones as you. She doesn't have the same drive as you. She's literally built differently than you. And you need to respect and honor that in the way God has made women. It takes a minute. Men, on the other hand, not so much. Not a problem. Hey, men, it's like a microwave, always on, always ready. And it's like, babe, you want to sleep tonight? Oh, yeah. No, I'm on. Like, lights on, lights, camera, action. Like, men are always ready. And I want you to understand something about male sexuality. So God has designed male sexuality to always be ready. Like, to make babies, to do that stuff. If men were like, it's going to take a while. Less children, less sex, less all those things. So the beauty of how God designed men and women is men need to understand women. They're not like you. You need to understand and love them and respect them for who they are, and they're not going to be like you. On the other hand, women need to understand men, that their drives are just different. And so you're going to need to serve each other many times in your sex life when you don't necessarily hormonally feel like it. Paul's scripture is very clear. Men need to serve their wives sexually, and women need to serve their husbands sexually. It doesn't mean every time they want sex, that sex has to happen. What I'm saying is just appreciate the differences between the two sexes and how the response is, and serve each other while still respecting each other. Now I'm going to close him up. Here we go. Women control the sex level, in other words, how many times people have sex, but men control the commitment level. So many times, women desperately don't want to feel used. They want to feel connected to a man, but men will hold off on commitment and use that to sleep with a woman. And so we see this. Women tend to care about where a man is going in the future, but men tend to care about where a woman has been. And so this is the dating scenario where if you're just sleeping around trying to find somebody, understand not only is that immoral, but you should be saving the good gift that God has given you for somebody who's actually going to follow through with God's design. And here's our principle. Women will give sex to get love, but men will give love to get sex. So understand that in the same way we are different physiologically, we are also different in our drives. Women will often give their bodies to feel wanted and appreciated and cared for. And then men will go, I want to sleep with you, so I'll tell you the things you want to hear. I will say things that are not true. And oftentimes, both sexes will use one another rather than serving one another. And here's our thing. Virginity was made to be the ultimate gift to each spouse on their wedding night. Listen, ready? If you have not started sleeping around, I want to encourage you to not sleep around, to be the person God built you to be until you are married. Because virginity is like this. Ready? It's like this gift. And on the front of this box, it says keepsakes. And what you put inside of a keepsake box is things you want to share with somebody in the future. And so your virginity was designed by God that on the day you sleep together, ideally, a man who's a virgin, a woman that's a virgin, they now can share their bodies in the most exquisite ecstasy and connection that humans can have. And on your wedding night, it's like you give the gift of yourself. And while all of us are more complex than just our sexuality, which is represented by this, understand that when you give of your body, it's like you want your whole self to be loved. And inside of marriage, this is the safest place for this to happen. Our culture says, doesn't matter, whatever you hormonally want to do, just go do that thing. And many of us have so much wreckage and so much baggage from the past because we haven't followed God. We haven't done the things that God wants us to do, that we feel dirty, we feel regret. We don't know how to proceed forward. So let me help you to end this. Ready? Many of us have a lot of baggage from the past. And even as I'm speaking about it right now, you just go, dude, I'm so far off. Let me help you. You are never too far from the love of God. And what God does is this beautiful thing where you are a person he loves. And even if you haven't done things correctly, he can put everything back together. So that when we repent and we clean up our desires for God, all of a sudden we become this present again, a gift for the future. So you can say no to the past and say, I stop today the things that are dishonoring God so that the future will be beautiful with God. That all the things I've got as keepsakes for someone else is that I'm able to start here with God and do this beautiful thing into the future. So it's not too late. Things are not lost. Things are still beautiful. But the only thing that keeps you from a beautiful future is your willingness to say no to the things God hates. Let me help you in the end here. Ready? I want this to be the last day you allow porn to tell you what to do in your life. Don't bring it into your mind. Don't bring it into your marriage. It's not a helpful sex aid. Don't bring other people into your marriage. Get off of OnlyFans. Today's the day you clean up. Today's the day we do this. Today's the day we say, I want to be a gift from God to my future spouse. Or if you're already married, you go, I'm cutting off all of this junk because I want to run for the glory of God, for a beautiful and great future together. So understand, ready? You're never too far from God. Today's the day. Today's the day to say no to the past and say yes to a beautiful future with God.